Interesting. It also seems like this virtual economy, though it still functions more or less like the real economy that we've been all used to, there would be definitely some kind of differences in terms of how it functions, right? So you're talking about kind of a trustless architecture, or decentralized markets. Are there other sorts of aspects that are completely different from the kind of general face-to-face market that we're so common, that we're so used to?
Yeah, I think the main one would be valuation. L'Atelier is part of a banking group, right? So they manage people's wealth and money. And now that people's wealth and money is stored in different ways, not only in cash and traditional stocks or other types of assets, there's a whole part of the human net worth that is currently living in these uncontrolled, largely unregulated spaces. I think that is a fundamental transformation that we have not yet fully adapted to or even understood.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. You also mentioned like blockchain. Obviously, the internet is fundamental to this space. Are there any other kind of technologies that are kind of pillars in the virtual economy now, but maybe then also emerging technologies that you see would be highly relevant in the next couple of years for the virtual economy?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, there are three types of technologies that are, I think, crucial to make the virtual economy function and happen. The first are technologies that have to enable access, right? You have to enter these worlds. And the obvious ones are the infrastructure technologies. Think the internet, 5G, satellite constellations such as Starlink, and 6G networks that are currently in development.
Yep.
Actually, here we see a very strong signal for the virtual economy because the developers or standard setters for 6G are putting digital twins or virtual reality and augmented reality at the same level of importance in the networks as virtual surgery. Like this is how crucial they see it to the future. And it's important to keep that as a point of focus going forward, to really see those signals and prepare ourselves as a corporation, but also as individuals to make best use of this technology. The second, still within access, you have to talk about identity. I think that's something that is very largely overlooked. If the virtual economy now is going to start becoming a core function of government, of financial institutions, how do we prove that we are who we say we are online, right? And do we have a duty to represent ourselves as real individuals to governments and financial institutions as they enter the space, right? Do we have to be ourselves online? The answer so far has been no. But as things become more and more standardized, more and more taxed, more and more regulated, there's a lot of technology developing around the sense of ID, like the virtual ID. These include biometric technology sometimes, such as vein-based authentication, subvocal recognition, and other types of ways to enter the virtual economy. The second type of emerging technology is immersion. Immersion is absolutely crucial, right? Because you need to have access that is smooth and easy. Right now, we can kind of drift in and out of the virtual economy by picking up our phone to buy a virtual item or streaming our lives. We can do it also on a computer, of course, but the lines between the physical and analog are going to be even more blurred as these type of frictions disappear. So VR is an obvious point. We're all familiar with those headsets that have become almost like a household item. But where big tech is looking is augmented reality, because augmented reality kind of is an additional layer to the real world. It doesn't remove you from the real world. This means that it can be consistent, it can grow with it, it can be persistent, whether we are engaging with it or not, it can exist in the background. And this hardware technology could also include things like brain-connected interfaces or brain-computer interfaces, meaning that the machine would kind of understand our mood, what we like and what we don't like, without having to express the desire for it. And it's not science fiction, it's actually under development. We've seen a lot of patents being filed by big tech companies looking at developing these types of AR glasses. And the third and final type, and the one that's closest to the economy aspect of the virtual economy, is of course transactions. We are seeing a very fast trend toward decentralization, but the problem is that blockchain is very user unfriendly. So technologies will enable or allow you to create, own, store, or even exchange virtual assets and goods are going to be a very important aspect of the virtual economy. I think the next Amazon is going to come from there. It's going to be one of those companies that is able to become the infrastructure or the go-to product to allow you to engage with your virtual wealth. It might be a traditional financial player or it might not be. It depends on how and who captures the market and how customers respond to it. So because it is the least user-friendly set of technologies, it is changing very rapidly. And we're seeing NFT marketplaces, smart contracts becoming more and more accessible every day. There's also actual companies and consultants that will help you navigate it. So again, we have this entire ecosystem being created around this transaction-based economy. But my last point is that we focused a lot on technology, but at its core, the virtual economy is very, very human, right? It is still affected by our behaviors, by our priorities, by our desire and willingness to engage with it. And that's something that's sometimes lost in the conversation.